succeeding with open source. So first of all, meet Aniedi, for those of you who don't know me. So I currently work at developer relations at Google. Before Google, I worked at Dragnet, 234next.com, Paga, Dragnet, and Afro. Dragnet twice, because I was fired at Dragnet the first time because I wasn't good enough. And then when I got fired at Paga, Dragnet hired me. So, but before this, and maybe one of the reasons why I'm here, and I feel my career trajectory has been a bit interesting, is I was the organizer for Drupal Camp Lagos in 2011. That's like 9 years ago. So for those of you who call me Uncle or Zaddy, it's in order. I thought I was really way back when, but then I found someone who's been organizing Python Nigeria since 2006, so no claim to fame anymore. Been active in GDG Lagos and GDG Uyo. And this is Drupal Camp Lagos. Well, I'm not that dark, but just to show you that the Drupal Camp Lagos thing is really not... yes, I was... Where's Rachel? Yes, I have a Drupal.org account, and that's how I got into open source, right? But this was one of the things that struck me, and I don't know if it's still on the Drupal homepage or the Drupal community homepage. It says, come for the software and stay for the community. And at that time, when I started getting into Drupal, getting into technology, this really meant a lot to me, and it was one of the driving forces behind why I ended up trying to put Drupal Camp together. And I think it still holds true till today. And Ben has said it in many different ways. It's not really about the code, it's not really about the framework. And even right now, if you look very well, Nigerian Twitter, most of you know I'm very opinionated, controversial, and active. There are people having conversations on whether you should go for meetups, whether you should be part of communities. And I try to just stay out of that conversation because I don't have full guarantees. I'll control my temper. But I think it's not about who comes on stage, what topic is discussed. It's just the fact that there is a community behind everything. It's not really about what you're going to learn or what a speaker is going to say that you don't know already, but it's about connecting with people and really being very helpful. So this is really amazing, and it still means a lot to me and drives a lot of the work I do. Speaking about communities, one of the reasons why you have to be, and I think I have a bag of goodies. So I was giving 2 hoodies. If you've seen around, I've been going around with 2 tags. And I feel I'm going to give out one of my hoodies. So it's a simple challenge. First person to tweet the correct answer to this riddle. There's like 3 blank spaces. Think about communities. You probably could Google space did it because space thought space will do it, and you probably will get it. But if you can tweet this with the right answer, there are 3 missing words. They all sound alike. Hashtag OscarFest. And the first person with the right answer, or if you know the answer, just raise up your hand right now. Okay. I did it because I thought no one else would do it. So that's I, no one else. They don't rhyme. You're quite there. One more shot. No, you've seen my slides. Didi has seen my slides. The deck has... Last stance. Someone did it because everybody thought nobody would do it. No, you're almost there. So I'm going to check on Twitter later for the winner. Nobody did it because everybody thought somebody would do it. This is really what happens with communities. Everyone's talking about a talk that wasn't great, an event that wasn't awesome. Who do you expect to make the community or the talk or the event or the conference awesome if you don't want to do it? This is the classical way things never get done. So I'll talk a little bit about communities at Google, and then I'll talk a little bit about Google Summer of Code and some of the other things. So I think I have a video coming up next, and this should give you an idea of what we do at Google. Pretty simple. You can't do it alone. You probably do need a community. And one of the easiest ways to find help, genuine help, is just to look around you. So at Google, can we switch back to my slides? We have a flagship program, GDG. How many people here at GDG Lagos? If you're not part of GDG Lagos, what are you doing here? So what is GDG? I'll run through this. I know I don't have much time. I was supposed to have started my timer. So GDGs are community-led groups run by volunteers, come together, have in-person meetups, and share their knowledge. A lot of us here, I can't really think of most of the people over the last 5 to 10 years who haven't in one way or the other touched or been part of a Google developer group. It's our flagship program with more than 1,000 chapters spread over 139 countries. I made this slide this morning, so this is just copy and paste from like 3 months ago, so I think these numbers are different. But it's definitely this picture, really spread all over the world. And I think in Chim's slide before this, when he talked about how spread out developer circles are and how these communities grow, they're literally everywhere. When I was younger and I used to play basketball before this, if I moved to a new city and I didn't have any friends, I would just go to the basketball court. Right now, if I change jobs or Jackpot or OK Bye, I would just look for a GDG near me to find my first set of friends. We've also come up with developer student clubs, realizing that the Google developer groups, when you are in an academic environment, it's sort of like a special thing. You know, people can have multiple meetups. You can meet after lectures if a lecturer doesn't turn up. So currently, we're running developer student clubs program around the world. These are university-based community groups for students interested in technologies. It's basically GDGs on an academic environment. We currently have 100 of those groups around sub-Saharan Africa. And my colleague Awal leads Google developer groups, developer student clubs in the region. If you want to hear more about it, you can always look for him. I think he's wearing a DSC t-shirt. I'm not sure he has any other t-shirt. Okay. Who knows Awal is always wearing a DSC t-shirt? So it's not like I'm yabbing him, right? In addition, we have the experts program. We heard yesterday from Mui, who's an expert. So Google developer experts are people with a certain level of experience who, if they wanted to, would work at Google, but for some reason, they don't want to. So they have the technical capacity, technical experience of someone who's like a senior software engineer or an engineering manager at Google, but they don't work for Google, and they contribute to community. So they will give talks, they will share, they will mentor, they'll take out their time to go meet people, and they don't necessarily get paid for that. So the experts, global network, roughly about 800 or 900 of them around the world. But like Moin said, it's two major things. You must have thought leadership, influential expertise in the technology you are you're conversant with. Could be cloud, could be mobile, could be machine learning, could be Android. And you must be willing or already contributing to community. So you don't want to become a Google developer expert. It is actually a recognition program. We see that you're already doing it, and we try and provide a few resources to make it easier for you. And then Women Tech Makers, which is kind of like our umbrella body for diversity across Google. There's gender-based diversity, that's probably the biggest issue, but in different parts of the world and in different parts of Nigeria, different parts of everywhere, there are different lenses to diversity. It could be the gender lens, but there is also the economic opportunity lens. There's the racial, there's the tribal, and the ethnic lens. So Women Tech Makers really is Google's overall external-facing diversity program for, first of all, women in technology, which happens to be the most significant gender lens diversity problem in technology. But we also discuss other things, and we're always looking at things like race, tribe, what people believe in, and trying to make sure that we're actually building a helpful Google for everyone. If you listen to Sundar over the last 1 year, and still today, Google is all about building a more helpful platform for everyone, and everyone means everyone. Ada leads Women Tech Makers Ambassadors and the Women Tech Makers program. She's one of the co-organizers of this conference and She Code Africa, and she's also on the team that leads Google developer groups across the region. So I think I'm very fortunate to be able to work with people like Ada and Awal, and it's my pleasure to really continue growing this community. It's not very often that you see maps like this of the world and you see Africa represented. We're really doing a lot of work to make sure that we make a good case for who you are and the amazing work you do. So I like to think of what we do in community as a service. And when you think of all the as a service kind of acronyms, infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, software as a service, We build these communities and make these communities available for anyone to build upon. I totally love the fact that you could come to a GDG Lagos event and preach for loop, like Prosper normally does, or advertise concatenate. It's allowed. The community is there for every single person to even build circles on top. So we want to build this community and make it really active such that every other person can build more specialized communities. But if you look at this very carefully, it is a service. And I was going to explain this, but I think Ben Lesh has done an amazing job, and I probably would not be able to do it as well as he did. But it is a community as a service. So you have infrastructure that you can serve. You have a community that I encourage everyone to build on. If you have a specialized community on machine learning, TensorFlow, Flutter, please come to the GDGs, come to Women Tech Makers, tell people about this community that focuses on your specific area of interest, and go on and go build a Flutter developer group, or a cloud group, or a machine learning group. That's the way we see it. So it is community as a service, whatever is the correct way to put it, but ultimately, it's community as a service. Does that make sense? Do we have a winner for my nobody, everybody, or am I taking my hoodie back home? And by the way, if you want to follow my slides, because I know that oftentimes it's difficult to see at the back, but I really needed your attention for the part where was my talk, and I wanted concentration on me. You can go to this link and just get my slides. So bit.ly, OscarFest 2020-Aniedi, and everything I'm talking about, you can just follow along in case you're at the back and you can't see clearly, or you want to get the links right. So I'll switch to something that really makes me very proud and really makes me very excited about a lot of the work we do, which is how far we've come. Obviously, I joined Google about 4 years ago and was asked to fill very big shoes. I'm afraid if I call the Igwe's name here, maybe there might be thunder that will just rattle. But I joined Google and I was asked to fill Emeka Figo's shoes, Blanca, some of us call him. And it just seemed impossible. I believe I was set up to fail. And, but of course, I always used to run to Emeka and just ask him, what am I going to do? How am I going to go about this? But there's one thing that I realized after a while of just steadying the ship was that I needed to make a name, I needed to make an impact. And I started figuring out what could I do. And the only things that I thought of doing were completely scary to me. I had no guts to try to do some of the things I did. It's been 3 years, a lot of fights, Twitter bans, including last weekend, but we've achieved some things that we're completely proud of. So this quote struck me last year when it came. Okay, I have another. Who knows who quoted this? He has some amazing laws. This is one of the most common ones. Start Googling. The answers were not in my slides. That's why Awal doesn't know, Didi doesn't know. First to tweet about it on the timeline, tagging OscarFest gets some swag for me. But if I'm not mistaken, I think it was Arthur C. Clarke. And last year, the embodiment of this quote that really hits me, and I tend to see every day, is this picture. I know the Kenyans in the room now are going to be going to be smiling. Who knows about this? October 12, 2019, the first human to run under 2 hours for the marathon. It wasn't competitive, but King Choge ran 1:59:49. Yeah, 1:59:49. I think he broke it by like 11 or 12 seconds. It wasn't close. As at this point, he knew he had broken the world record. And it was a lot of technology. It was a community that propelled him. You had Kiplagat, you had a lot of other marathon runners. Some of the best runners in the world literally paced Eliud Kipchoge throughout the race. There was a radar, there was a pacer, there was a timeline to show how fast he needed to run the marathon under 2 hours. And at the time, he was like 10 minutes to the end. He literally was like, you guys just leave me, I got this. And this was one of the most iconic pictures for me of 2019. What does this translate to? In 2018, DevFest Nairobi put together about 1,800 people. They had consistently been putting out 1,000 people at their DevFest. And then someone in this event challenged us and said, Nigeria, can you do this? It ended in tears. So in 2018, at this venue, we showed what's possible. 2,000 developers, DevFest Lagos, November 2nd. No argument. We can't run, The marathon under 2 hours. We've got a lot of people. You may say we're the poverty capital of the world, but we've got people. Don't challenge Nigerians about jollof rice and the number we are. Done. So in 2019, the Kenyans asked for more budget. I tried not to give them. They sourced more money. And they did this. 2,200 developers. I was like, yo, Lagos, where my people at? Boom. Don't challenge Lagos when it comes to jollof rice, audience, and partying. So it may not be very clear what happened, so I'll rearrange this. In 2018, they did this. Same venue, same view. 2019, you see they had to the cameraman had to step back. We did this. There was nowhere for the camera to step back. It was actually a drone. Couldn't go higher. So we changed the venue. 2,500 developers. This was literally impossible. I can verify that 5 years ago, our events used to cap out at about 100 or 120 people. Now there's 2,500 people and there's just too many. In fact, there were more people. I think Samson actually even put a gate fee or a ticket fee in this event just to avoid this kind of drama. It's not easy to give 2,500 people jollof rice at lunch break and they don't insult you on Twitter. It is not easy. Usually, that is the first and only thing we make. If you were at this event, remember they took lights, the gen went off, but that was after the jollof rice. And some of you didn't really let my people know that it was a bad event because the first few sessions of the morning were great, jollof rice was great, gen went off, who cares? So I'm going to just finish up with part of my slide that is just cut, copy, and paste. It's about the Google Summer of Code. I literally don't know what is in these slides. It was supposed to be Stephanie's slides. Stephanie and Megan couldn't be here. Amanda is here. So I'm literally just going to back you guys and read through the slides. But first of all, I think there's a video. And if you hang around through the video, you'll see some before and after things. Just watch.
3 words to describe the Mentor Summit would be awesome, exciting, collaborative. A piece of advice that I would give to a GSOC student really would be get engaged. It's not just about writing code. It's also about learning how to interact with the other people in the project and always be really open and be willing to accept new ideas and new concepts. What I love about being a mentor is when I get to engage with a student who's really excited and interested in the project and gives a lot of feedback about how the whole process goes.
Can you pause the
and
video?
Also just
Okay, play.
to see how they get excited working with the project, working with the code, and making it
When I do like this, you pause.
Open source is a way to develop software in a very special manner, like you share, you contribute, and you communicate with people all over the world. One of the reasons why I decided to mentor the project is that I was a student and I felt thankful to the community and I wanted to give it back.
For me, open source is
Play.
collaboration. You might have some skills and
Pause. Woo! Play.
you were like, okay, I can do this myself, but when you have people from different backgrounds, way of thinking, coming and solving a single project, that's what open source is more about. What I would like to give to GSOC students, it's just for you to be real, and you don't have to claim what you can't able to complete, because of course everyone wants to be, have impressive proposal. So you just have to be real and just come in. Of course, we'll accept you.
Choose a good student. We were looking for when they did their proposal.
I think we're running out of time. You have my slides.
Using
You can
the
watch the
software
video.
and how they
It's available
would see those
online.
improvements, something that they
Let's
would
just
be
pause, switch back, so I can get away from the stage. I think I'm between you guys and lunch or Prosper. 2 very interesting options, whichever they decide to go with. So Summer of Code, like I said, I'm just going to read this. So what is open source? Clearly well defined. Computer software, distributed under an open license. So it's more like free as in speech, not free as in bear. Promotes collaboration. Community, so important. So when I talked about succeeding in open source, it's really all about the community. Like I said, literally, Ben has said everything I needed to say about communities. But what is GSOC? You heard from a panel yesterday, you heard from a lot of contributors. In a nutshell, it's an online international program designed to encourage university student participation in open source software development. Literally, that is it. You know, there's a timeline, some companies come on board, submit projects, you as a university student, you get on board. I think when I sent an email to Amanda and speaking to Megan and Stephanie, I'm like, okay, you're coming to Nigeria, what do you really want to do, what do you want to achieve? And it was very clear. They want to deepen the participation of Nigerians and African in programs like GSOC. That is my OKR. That is one of the reasons why they'll be here. That's one of the reasons why they'll come back the next time and sponsor conferences like this. So if we're seeing thousands of people turn up in Lagos, Nairobi, Accra, Enugu, Uyo, for conferences like DevFest, for like Concatenate Conf, for like For Loop Africa, I think, like Chibidi said, we should be done with to-do list app and friendly chat, and let's start building real software so that most of us can have many more stories like we saw of Aniedi Young earlier today. So students work for an open source software organization, earn a stipend, you get paid, not $1,000 a year, but like real money. And then university students spend their time outside of school working in the field that can help them with their studies and career. Okay, no more. So the goals of the program are to motivate students, provide for students in computer science and related fields with real practical experience, opportunity to work that matters, give you real exposure to real-world software, create more open source code, and help open source projects bring in new developers. It's really very important that we have more developers coming into the projects that are available. So how does it work? Projects apply to be mentor organizations. Google chooses the organizations. 206 were chosen in 2019. Students submit their project proposals to the mentor organizations. The mentor organizations choose the students they would like to accept. Students are paired with a mentor to help them throughout their project. Coding begins. Students work towards milestones laid out in their project proposal with their mentors over 12 weeks. So these are the evaluations. You must pass 3 evaluations, and then students who pass are paid a stipend for their work. And at the conclusion of GSOC, students submit code that they've written for their project for everyone to see and use. So these are the eligibility requirements. You can get them here. Some statistics. We've got thousands of people from more than 100 countries participating in GSOC. We have countries with the most. This needs to change. I mean, if everybody who is in, not everybody's in DevFest Lagos who's a student. But this needs to change. 870. Like, how many people write JAMB? 1 million. Literally, 1 million people write JAMB every year, or 1.5 million people. That's the people trying to get into school. And I think Nigerian schools can accommodate between 200 and 600, I think 600,000, so 600,000 places that they're vying for. So this shouldn't be a problem. It's just that you guys are not either interested or you don't know where to go. 1 minute left. So here are a couple of useful links. There's a program site, student guide. Literally all you need to know is my slide deck, and then you would see all this when you go through. Here's the 2020 timeline. The organization applications, I think, are now closed. Like I said, this was copy and paste. We're somewhere around here. The accepted organizations have been accepted. The portal is soon going to open. I know somebody asked that question, and one of the mentors responded on Twitter, on OscarFest. So there'll be a time for students to submit proposals. You should start working on them right now. Students are accepted. Bonding starts. You probably get an opportunity to fly over somewhere and get featured in a video like Samson was. And then code all through the rainy season. There were supposed to be questions. It was a copy and paste slide. I have no questions. There's no time for questions. But just remember, if you want to find out all about open source at Google, it's pretty simple. Go to opensource.google. You find out about programs, all the grants we offer, the other things like Google Coding, Google Summer of Docs, and other things that are going on. And you also find out about the open source projects like TensorFlow, Flutter, that we support. Some of them are actually products, some are platforms, and a lot of them are tools for like your continuous integration and continuous delivery. Amazing projects like Kubernetes that all of you use with your containers. And then if you want to find out about our groups, our experts, you want to find out about women tech makers, you want to find out about tutorials and code labs, literally everything else that we do and that my team does all over the world is at developers.google.com. Thank you.